Goddess is here.
Good evening, and welcome to Face Off. I'm so happy that you're joining us tonight. I am Reverend D. Marie, and it is my joy to welcome you to our March Face Off. Each Face Off is brought to you by Face to Face Ministries in collaboration with the York Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, as well as Restoration Community Christian Church. This is an opportunity to bring you an up close and personal experience of someone in their real life with their real choices and real experiences to build awareness, to increase education, and to be a source of empowerment for all of those that are navigating mental health, mental illness, hardship, trauma, tragedy, just living. And so tonight, I'm so excited because we are joined by Mr. Diaz Woodard. He's going to be with us tonight discussing community health, development, life, his work with colorectal cancer, as this is Colorectal Cancer Awareness Month. And so it's time for us to take our mask off, and let's invite Mr. Diaz into the room. Welcome, Diaz.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I've been anticipating this interview. I'm a little nervous, but let's do it.
It's nothing to be nervous about. This is
This is
like
my
the easiest space to be in.
my nervous smile. Like I just
Listen, you are fine. We're gonna have a ball tonight.
okay.
So let's start off by having you introduce yourself to those who are watching.
Okay. I'm Diaz Woodard, affectionately known as Mr. Diaz. I'm a father. I'm a mental health advocate, employee of WellSpan. I'm a husband. I'm a friend. I'm a lot of things, but I'm all things York City. So yeah, it's a pleasure to be here.
All things York City. Okay. Oh, and Diaz, I didn't tell you, but as we are having our conversation, people will comment. And so I will show you what they're saying as we go along.
Okay.
And I like to tell everybody, I rarely know my guests personally, and so this is another opportunity where I'm engaging Diaz, and we've been in professional spaces because of mental health related things or community service related things, but we've never really had a personal conversation. So this is our first opportunity to kind of get into it, and so I'm excited to have you here. So I want to start off. You said that you are York City, all things York City. So are you from York? Like, are you born and raised? Are you coming through? Like, what's your York City
I
experience?
am a born and raised York native through and through. I
Oh,
lived in York my whole life up until recently. I moved to Maryland. I've been here about a year now.
okay.
But I still work in York. Everything I do is in York, and my whole career has been in York with York residents. York. I mean, I'm the guy that you see walking across town, waving at people. Like everybody's used to seeing me, kind of like hanging out. I've been in York my whole life. Like
Okay.
everything. My family still lives there. My whole family on both sides, my dad's side and my mother's side. So like I'm like a real live York native.
Okay. So you York in the blood. All
Oh
right.
yeah, yeah.
You
York
know,
City
y'all
runs in my blood.
y'all are tough people. Y'all are tough like community to kind of crack into. Why is it like that, Diaz? Like, what is so hard with y'all letting people in?
I I think it's just because so many people, like a lot of people that are in Europe, we're all born and raised here. So
Mhm.
it's like everybody's family or friends of a family member or friends of a friend. So we're really close knit. Like I mean,
Mhm.
I have like my best friends now. My best friend I have now, I've had the same friend since I was in like second, third grade.
Okay.
I'm 43 years old and I have the same best friends since second, like third grade, and like all my friends, I have all the same friend groups, like, and
Mhm.
we all went to all the same schools. And I think it also just the fact that like York's a small city. You got to think up until recently when they kind of like when they made the K through 8 buildings, we had two high schools. I
Mhm.
mean, two middle schools, one high school, and 6 or 7 elementary schools. So
Yeah.
we go through elementary school when you're at different sides of town, but then at some point, either integrated into Smith or integrated into Hannah-Penn, and then we get to high school, we're all there together. So it's like we've grown up knowing each other, knowing each other's families. So it's like it's a
Yeah.
really tight knit community. It has its gifts and it can be a curse at sometimes because I just think that like sometimes we can be territorial.
And there's nothing wrong with that. Like there's a protective nature that comes along with it. But if you're invested in this community, you want to protect it. So I definitely understand that. So I definitely understand. So I want to start off tonight by I want to start maybe at the end instead of start. I start at the beginning, but I want to start at the end. One of the things I recently learned, because this is Colorectal Cancer Awareness Month, that you are doing some research in that area. And I believe that it's fairly newer. So I want to give you an opportunity to shed some light on that work because I think it's important to talk about.
Definitely. Well, my newest role is as a community outreach coordinator for WellSpan Health. And part of my role is we work with traditionally those historically marginalized communities. So with WellSpan, we kind of look at, we have several measures that we look at, particularly like our HEDIS measures, and our HEDIS measures kind of tell us like where there are gaps in services for the community, particularly for African American community. We've realized there has been a gap in services when it pertains to African American men getting tested for colorectal cancer. So I was introduced to the topic of colorectal cancer through this role, and this from doing some research, I just found it alarming that even though African American men are contracting colorectal cancer at similar rates as white men, we're dying 40% more.
Oh, wow.
Which again for us was a red flag. Okay, there's something that needs to be done. So a part of my pilot was to kind of go out into the community. First thing I did was I created a fact sheet to make like just to kind of outline the facts on colorectal cancer. And WellSpan actually gave me the ability to create a fact sheet that was culturally sensitive. A lot of the work that we do, we make sure that we use class standards, so like culturally, linguistically appropriate services, because studies show that people feel more comfortable talking to people that look like them and share similar life experiences. So the fact sheet I created was created for Black and brown people.
Okay.
And I started kind of distributing that at events that we would have, resource fairs and health fairs. And then the next thing I did was I started scheduling some listening sessions in the community. So I identified some African American physicians through WellSpan and just went in the community. And I had one at Jabez Ministry, and then I had one at Bethel Commandments, and we really just sat down and just had like a candid conversation, just like kind of want to know what do you know about colorectal cancer? What are some of the reasons why you're not getting screened? If you are getting screened, what was your experience? And I take all that information together and then kind of like create a report and take it back to WellSpan and say, hey, listen, this is what we're hearing from the community, and these are the things that we need to do to kind of like dismantle those myths and also educate the community more. So I've done 2 listening sessions so far, and I have 2 more that I'm planning on doing. And then also a part of it is we're going to be doing a social media campaign around colorectal cancer and just targeting African American men, and it's affecting women as well. So it's not something that's exclusive for men, but just the numbers are so high that we're trying to like improve the testing and screening rates for African American men. So it's been a challenge because I'm coming from a different sector. Everything that I've always done has always been with people, but going from my last role in recreation to diving into like healthcare, it's been a bit of a culture shock, but I'm learning every day. Every day is a learning experience, like working for WellSpan. It's constantly learning. But I'm learning that there's so many things that are plaguing our community that we're just not aware of. We're not seeing the messages enough. I mean, even when I'm in the community having listening sessions, a lot of us know that Chadwick Boseman died, but very few of us know that he died from colorectal cancer.
Yeah.
And like that's something that we were trying to draw attention to. I mean, even like the state they just mandated, they changed the screening age from 50 to 45, but if you are African American and you have a family member who may have suffered from colorectal cancer, or if it's in your lineage anywhere, there's a possibility that you could contract it or you already have it. And by the time you get to the screening age, you're already stage 3, stage 4, so that's a big concern for us. Like even my husband, his best friend died from colorectal cancer at 35. So if he wouldn't have been sick and got symptoms, how would he have known that he had colorectal cancer? Because you don't get screened until you're a certain age, and then again, like one of the other things that we focused on in the listening sessions is figuring out what are those barriers. Like what are those barriers of care? Like, we know that insurance sometimes is a barrier. We know that transportation can be a barrier. We know that, if you've ever gotten a colonoscopy, you know that there's prep time that's included in that. And like everybody doesn't have time to take off work. I actually, before I did the listening session, I actually went and had my colonoscopy done because I'm like, how can I go in the community telling somebody about something if I haven't experienced myself? And
that's right.
Even though I didn't personally have any issues with some of those barriers, by taking the test, I seen firsthand what some of those barriers could be. Like I had the liberty of saying, okay, hey, I'm prepping for 2 days for my colonoscopy. I'm going to work remotely. But a person working at Harley Davidson doesn't have that ability to do that.
That's
person
right.
a new job doesn't have that ability to do that. Like my husband had to take off work in order to transport me there and back. Well, if I'm a single mom or a single dad and I don't have transportation, or I don't have a significant other, then how do I know I can get somebody to transport me, to my appointment and back? And that person has to be available,
Yeah. Yeah.
Nothing like prep supplies. I mean, like I had to buy a box of Docalax, but I only needed 2 pills.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like a box of 30 for 2 pills. Like those things
Yep.
are barriers to care, and those things are things that scare people away from wanting to receive care. So the purpose and the goal is to educate and then figure out what can we do, how can we help kind of
That's
disseminate
great.
some of those barriers.
Yeah, that's great work because thinking about the challenges to just getting life-saving services, it's rare. So I'm very happy to have you as somebody that's on the front line that's doing this work. So thank you for delving into that. And so if you are just tuning in, Mr. Diaz, as he's known by to everybody, he has been shedding some great light on colorectal cancer. And so this is Colorectal Cancer Awareness Month. So if you don't know, get out there and get some information before we are done. I'm sure Diaz will give you some information on where you can get some more information. Okay. All right. So that's where the end is. So now we're going to go in reverse, right? Because we're going to get into it. I want to know, like, how did we get to this point? Like, how did you evolve into this person that you are? Like, this person that is a force in the community, that's community service, mental health, recreation. Like, you are a force in your own right. Like, how did we get here? What's the evolution of Diaz?
Whoa. So wow, that's loaded.
I know
Um,
I've been doing that sometime. My bad.
yeah, it's loaded. I don't know. I kind of feel like I know, spiritually they always say, the plan that God has for your life has already been laid out before you were here.
Hmm.
Um, and for me, um, I had what I would consider a traumatic childhood,
Okay.
but I was always very, very resilient. Like I was always the child that like you didn't have to worry about. Like, he's fine. Like I always joke, I tell my kids all the time, like I never had a curfew, I never had a bedtime, like because I was the one that like he can stay up to 3 in the morning, but we know he's gonna get up for school in the morning, so just let him go.
Mhm.
I've been ironing my clothes since I was 9. I've been going to barbershop by myself since I was 9. I've been kind of like a grown man in a young man's body for quite some
Mhm.
time.
Mhm.
Um, so I think like just over time as I kind of developed, like my first when I talk about like career wise, I had I was 13 and I had started going to I actually it's crazy. So I was I was at my parents thought I was at track. I signed myself up for therapy. So back then you can go to therapy on your own.
Oh wow.
And I signed myself for therapy and I was going to therapy. Um and I went and then I actually invited my parents when I was graduating from like completing it. And
Mhm.
I invited my parents to come and my mom and them. And I think like that kind of like started my whole passion for mental health.
Mhm.
And then I think like that following year, I ended up being like I ended up being a mentor for the mental health clinic that I actually took therapy at. And then from there, that kind of awakened my passion for like therapy and kids. So at 16, I started working for Salvation Army. That was my first like real job working with kids. And I worked there for years, maybe about 5 years. I worked at Salvation Army like all throughout high school, even to my adult years. I went to college, I came back, and I worked at Salvation Army. Um, and then, okay, so interesting. So I've never looked for a job,
Mm.
and I always said every job I've had, I've been referred to. Like
Okay.
I've never actually looked for a job. I've been referred to it. So I attended Salvation Army. Then eventually they said, "Hey, you're old enough to work. You want to work here?" So I worked there. Um, I ended up knowing somebody who worked at Children's Home of York,
Mhm.
who was like, "Hey, you turn 18, you can work at Children's Home of York." And I ended up applying. And my first job at Children's Home of York, I was at Tyndall House.
Mhm.
So I worked at Tyndall House. I was there for years. I say at least 5, 6 years. Went to college. I came back. I withdrew from school because the mother of my kids was pregnant. It was crazy because I withdrew from school because I was a senior. I was actually my senior year, and I had my internship to do, and they wanted me to quit my job to complete
Mm.
my internship, and I couldn't justify quitting my job to get my degree and get the same job.
Yeah.
Like because the kids I'm in class with, like they're working at PacSun and Old Navy and the Gap, and I'm like, I got benefits already. I'm like, I'm not leaving my benefits. So I ended up staying at Children's Home, and then I one day, so okay, so Children's Home in York, they have this they had the kids would get in trouble. You know, I worked at the residential treatment facility. So for
Okay.
boys, like 6
Mhm.
to 13 residential treatment. So they would get sent home from school
Mhm.
and we would work first shift and the kids would get sent home. And one day I was like, well, rather than them just keep coming home, why don't we go to school with them? So I went to school with them. So I started it. And then after a while, they started sending us to school with them. So I started going
Mhm.
to the classroom, building relationships. And one day I'm sitting in the classroom with a kid and the teacher's like, hey, you know that what you're doing for children's home, they'll pay you more to do it for the school district.
Yeah.
Oh, really? So then she referred me. I applied for the school district and I ended up transitioning to the school district. And that started my like mental health, not continue my mental health journey, but that got me into education. So I
Mhm.
went to special ed. I did that for maybe 8 years. I'm in special ed at pretty much all the schools in the school district. And then one day I received an email in the mail, and it actually wasn't addressed to me. It was addressed to, it was like, you know, like you see like people that are tagged on it, but it wasn't me. And I was like, how did I get this email?
Mhm.
So I looked at it, and it was a job as a recreation specialist with the city. Now, mind you, my kids are getting older now, so I had started doing after school program at Phineas Davis at this time. So I was working during the day from 7 to 3:30 in the classroom. Then at 3:30, I'll transition to after school program, do that from 4 to 7:30. I did that for 4 years.
Mhm.
One day I got an email about recreation specialist, and I was like, I looked at the job description. I emailed them back. I'm like, hey, I don't know if this was for me. I was like, but can I apply? And they're like, sure, go ahead. I applied for that job, and then I ended up at the city.
Mhm.
So I did this. I was working the city, and again, like I did after school program at Davis. I was doing 21st Century at New Hope. I was kind of working in the summertime. I was doing a bunch of different things, but always kind of like the same wheelhouse.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the city kind of spearheaded my whole planning, you know, and like got me into the realm of like recreation. So I
Mhm.
did that, and I was there for 6 years, and then one day, I love her to this day, Juanita. She was working for Wellspan. She had just started working at Wellspan in the role that I'm in now. And she was like, you know, I hear you got a lot of community connections. I just want to meet with you and let's talk about how we can connect it. So I started bringing her to meetings with me. Like I'm bringing Juanita in, I'm introducing her to people. Like, hey, she's a Wellspan a specialist. She's going through this. So anyway, long story short, me and her are getting acquainted. And then one week, she comes to me and she's like, hey, I think I'm leaving Wellspan and I'm moving out of state. She was like, and I think you'd be a great fit for the job. And I
Hmm.
was like, I don't know. I like the city. You know, everything is going well there. You know, so she said it to me, and then like the next week, Jamil Alexander, who's a good friend of mine, he came to me and he's like, hey, I was just talking to Juanita, and she said she's about to leave Wellspring. I told her you'd be a good fit for the job.
Mm.
Like, I thought about that. I said, she said something to me. I'm not sure. Let it go. That's two.
Mhm.
The next day, I get a call from Commissioner Muldrow, who's my mentor. And he's like, hey, I talked to my wife. They said the position's about to open. We think you'd be a good fit. You should just go ahead and apply for it.
Yeah.
And I did. And here I am.
Now, listen, the steps of a righteous man or woman are ordered by God. Here, I
Yeah.
don't know if I've ever known anybody that got jobs like this, sir.
Like
Here
it's
you are.
crazy too, because I mean we're talking from 16 to
Mhm.
I'm 43. From 16 to 43, like every
Exactly.
single job like has literally been referred. Like I always say, like, and it's crazy because so I have this thing with myself where like every time I'm at a job, if I'm at a job around 5, 6 years, something happens.
Mhm.
And I get like this unsettledness like in my spirit. And my friends think I'm crazy because I we can talk about my anxiety later because I'm my anxiety is through the roof constantly.
Okay.
But I'm very in tune with my body and my
Yeah.
emotion. And when I get that feeling, I always tell my friends, I'm like, God's telling me to do something, I'm not sure what. So I go through
Mhm.
a period where it's like a month or two where I'm like insane.
Yeah.
Like I'm
Yeah.
emotional, I'm crying, I don't know where I'm at. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I should be doing. You
Yeah.
know, it's like crazy. And like my friends are like, "You're in a job. You're doing good." You know, everybody's. And I'm like, "But there's something else."
That shift
And
is
every
happening.
single time
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
happens. It happens every time. It's like right before that transition, God is like, "Okay, get ready," and I'm
Mhm.
like, "No, no, 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 no. Okay."
Mhm.
And yeah, and this is what happens.
Oh, I love that. Listen, you making me happy already just listening to the story. Okay, okay. So you are where you are supposed to be.
I would like to think so.
Okay.
I would like to
Okay.
think so.
So I've heard mental health, I've heard community, I've heard education, and now we're in physical health arena.
Yeah.
Across all of these, like just spectrums, but in all of your roles, still touching people.
Yes, they are.
So you pour out a lot. Who's pouring into Diaz?
Wow. Well, I have a pretty solid group of friends that are very supportive. I have a very supportive family. I
Mhm.
have an amazing husband, might I say.
Mhm.
Um,
Please. Do.
and I have people that I do. Where I'm at in my life right now, I have people that pour into me. I can't always say I did. I mean, I've
Mhm.
had support, but I
Mhm.
think now I feel very supported, and I feel like I do have people that pour back into me, and I'm the resident go-to guy for my friends and everything, but like they're always mindful to like give me my flowers, my kids always like that's my pride and joy. Like my kids, like they always make sure that I'm grounded and they make sure that I know that I did what I'm supposed to do. 'Cause I mean, you question yourself, like
Mhm.
as a parent,
Absolutely.
you question yourself, as a friend, as a partner, for every relationship, you question yourself, like,
Mhm.
am I being effective? Am I doing what I'm supposed to do? So I think that like overall, I do have people in my corner and that have my back that like that keep me grounded. And beyond that, I do all the things. Like I pray, I journal, I write poetry, I listen to podcasts, I mean, I do all the
You do
things.
all the things.
Yeah, because for me, it takes all of that. Like some
Okay.
people are like, it don't take that much, but for me, it does because like the enemy is always lurking, and there's
That's
always
right.
something in the background that's trying to get your attention or that's trying to deter you from the purpose that God has for you. And I think like in recent months, even more, I feel like
Mhm.
there's other things that are coming down the pipes for me.
Mhm.
So I have to be very, very mindful of like what I allow in my space, what I give energy to, what I give attention to. What I like right now, I'm not on social media because like I'm on Instagram, but I'm not on Facebook because
Mhm.
Facebook for me is overwhelming.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think it's because I know everybody,
Mhm.
like that, again, like, and I don't want to get off subject, but like that's one of the things. Like one of the things, like with me moving from York is like, okay, I'm going to service York. I'm always
Mhm.
going to work for York and provide for York, but I needed a separation. And I felt like my
Yeah.
personal life and my professional life were too
Mhm.
intertwined.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I struggle because of me being a person of service and always wanting to help people. I struggle with separating that.
Yeah.
So I'm the person that I'm answering calls at midnight and I'm checking emails at 3 in the morning and I'm not constantly responding. And like, I felt like I needed to like break away from
Yeah.
that, and like even with social media, like taking that step away from it, I realized that, I mean, like we talk about mental health, like
Mhm.
I know my triggers,
Yes.
and I know social media is one of my triggers.
Okay.
So like I have to be mindful of of those things, and my anxiety. I mean, if we can jump into anxiety,
We listen. I told you, ain't no jumping. This is all we cruising exactly where we need to be.
so
So
I am. Listen, I'm probably one of the most anxious people you'll ever meet.
okay. When did you realize that you were an anxious person?
I feel like I've always been anxious.
Okay. And
Like
you
when I
always knew
think,
you were anxious?
um, okay, so I think sometimes people can mislabel hyperactivity
Mhm.
for anxiety
Yes.
because sometimes people like myself who are constantly anxious, it's not that we're hyper, it's that we're always trying to do
Yes.
so we don't have to feel what's going on.
Yes, say that.
And
People need to hear that. For all of the young kids that are full of anxiety all over the place, that they just call in, ADHD all the time.
yes,
Yep.
it's anxiety, and like a
Mhm.
lot of times it's like channeling, like
Yes.
trying to channel that anxiety. And I didn't have a name for it, but I knew that I always was a person that's like super super emotionally reactive.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
like, and I knew that I can feel like when some certain things happen, I could feel it in my body where I'm like, okay, this is something, you know. And then I finally got to a place in my life where I can name it, like
Yeah.
name that thing, you know, like name that thing that you've been feeling, that you've been going through. And I finally like went to the doctors and I talked to my doctor and I'm like, listen, like I think I'm suffering from anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
And since then I've been more mindful of it. But it's another one of those things where like, see, anxiety is tricky because
Mm-hmm.
like you can identify, you know it's there,
Yep.
but if you give it too much attention, it would just
Mm.
increase.
Absolutely.
So you got to be
Absolutely.
cognizant of it, but then you also you got to try to like tame it, you know, and
Yeah.
like control it. And for me personally, that's a
Yeah.
everyday struggle.
Yeah.
Like I'm the person you give an assignment to that should take 2 weeks and I'm done in 3 days.
Yeah.
Like I'm that guy, like, cause I'm always like working, because I'm always
Mhm.
trying to fill my gaps in my time because and my therapist right now, my goal for my therapist, she's like, your goal right now is to sit with you.
That's hard, man.
Listen.
You talking to me, you don't know, but ugh, that's
uh,
hard. I know that's hard. I want you to know that that is probably the hardest thing that the therapist could say to me, and clearly the hardest thing that the therapist can say to you. I get it. I'm like, you
it's
know what I could be
so
doing in
hard.
this time frame right now?
Listen,
I get you. I'm with
and
you,
I'm
man.
still doing, like I said, all the things, podcasting,
Mhm.
emailing. I'm like, I'm really not sitting with me for real, but
Yeah.
I'm learning to be okay with being okay, and I
Yeah.
think like that's the task. Like I think
Yeah.
that is the golden nugget to anxiety, is like being okay with being okay. So I practice a lot of like self-reflection and a lot of like grounding and like being aware of what's going on around me. Like, okay, I'm
Mhm.
outside, I'm home,
Yes.
everything's fine. My computer, I'm doing work. Okay, my kitchen, you know, like just
Yeah.
reminding myself that I'm okay. Because I've had moments where I spiral, like
Yeah.
where my anxiety is so high, where I'm like, okay, I'm about to climb up this wall,
Yeah.
and unfortunately, my body doesn't respond well to meds.
Mm.
And I've tried three,
Okay.
but I think, and even with my therapist, we talked about it. The thing is, with meds for me, when I take the med, I'm looking for it to cure the anxiety.
Yeah.
And when it doesn't, it's increasing more anxiety.
Anxiety. Yeah.
So it was like I'm going crazier on the meds
Yes.
without the meds.
Yeah.
So I decided that I've taken a cold turkey approach. I've been off of meds for probably like 6, 7 months now,
Okay.
and
Okay.
I'm just being okay with being okay, and I'm removing myself from environments and from situations that create anxiety for me. Aware of my surroundings. I'm aware of my relationships. I watch what I put in. I watch what I put out. I'm at like a place of consciousness right now where like
Yeah.
it's just something that I'm going to have. I know it's not going to go away,
Mhm.
but it doesn't define me, and I can not control it, but I can calm it.
That's right. And I respect you for taking control of your mental wellness, right? And it's important for people to hear that there is a point where you have to make a conscious decision about what's going to be best for you, but be willing to do the work to not do the spiraling that you know is inevitable without those chemical interventions, right? I'm somebody that deals with people every day with mental health, and I tell parents all the time, I'm not a medicine pusher. I'll be the
Mhm.
first to tell you medicine will not cure the thing that you're trying to get it to fix. That's relationship, that's tools, that's self care, that's a whole lot of physical human intervention to get the outcomes that people want. So I have much respect for you for being on this journey. And it's not easy. You said something that I think is important for people, especially right now, given the climate of the world that we live in. There's garbage everywhere.
Mhm.
There is so much to cause us to just be anxious if we turn on the TV, if we're scrolling through our feeds. Like we just, one message of something can cause a person who's not suffering from anxiety to be in a spiral. So imagine what the climate of this world is doing for people who are already living with anxiety every day of their lives. So you said that you have closed out some of those media streams. You're being more intentional about your environment, and I think that that's good advice for everybody that's watching, because a lot of people are consuming garbage and then saying, "I just wish it would stop." Turn it off. Stop looking.
Yeah.
Stop scrolling, right? So it's not going to stop, which means you have to be the person that stops. So I just wanted to reiterate that because I think that's so profound. I feel like I'm under a rock a lot of times because I'm
Mhm.
making choices to absorb in moderation. Like I've got to be informed. I shepherd people, so I got to know, but I
Mhm.
don't have to. I don't. It doesn't have to hit me. So this is what I tell people. I prepare myself for consumption. Like, okay, I'm about to turn the TV on. Like I am about to get caught up in the world so that my senses are aware that you're about to take a big hit. And I can be
Mhm.
prepared to nurture myself after said hit. But if I'm driving in my car and I just scroll through something, not that you scroll when you driving, y'all, but if
Mhm.
I happen to be unprepared and scroll and something pops up, I'm not prepared to deal with me. Like I'm not prepared to nurture
Mhm.
myself from this vicarious trauma that I now feel from reading a news article, or
Mhm.
seeing a video of somebody being picked up on the side of the road that was just walking down the street. So thank you for saying that. I
And it's
think that's
crazy because to add to that, it's so interesting because like, so I know we're not old, we're
Mhm.
older, you
Yes.
know. So there's certain things about social media and things like that that we don't really, either we don't know or we don't pay attention to.
Yeah.
And what I realize is we have control of what media we see when we're on social media,
Yep.
and I always tell my friends, like, if you don't like something that you're seeing on social media, control your algorithm. So
Absolutely.
for what I do, like for myself, like if I'm going through a time where I feel like, okay, I don't really like the things I see on my social media, or things are about and being triggered, what I'll do, I'll go through and I will like every inspirational post,
Yes.
every gospel post, every post about scripture, everyone. And eventually my
That's
algorithm
what you see.
changes to all exactly changes to all.
That's
And I think people don't,
important. Yeah.
yeah, people don't
That's
realize how much control they have over what content they see on it. It's your social media,
absolutely.
so it's okay. And then also not don't be afraid to purge your social media.
Yes.
Go through if there's people on there that never had nothing positive to say, or they're never nothing never good, anything they post is negative, you can push them off your feed.
Yeah.
I filter my stuff all the time, like, all right, nope, too much, and then then sometimes it goes back, and then I'll go back to it, but like I pay attention to, like, this, piggybacking off what you were saying earlier, like I think we're not taught enough to pay attention to our bodies and
Yeah.
how our bodies respond to the things that are happening around us. Like those things are happening for a reason.
Mhm. Mhm.
That uncomfortableness, that ache in your stomach, the headache, the tension, all those things are signs and symptoms of something else is happening. And I think that the
Yeah.
more we pay attention to those things, the more we become in tune with ourselves, and the more we make decisions that like alleviate us having to go through those symptomatic things.
Yeah. 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 Okay. So you've mentioned several times your husband. Um, y'all see him smile when I say that. So you mentioned several times your husband and how much of a great support you have. And so, I it just would be undie Marie if I didn't give you space to really kind of delve into a little bit, particularly right now, like the climate of this world and you being Diaz in your life and all that is at risk, or the threats or all of that. So where are you with all that's happening in this world and your personal life, knowing that you have this big professional life that everybody sees? There's a personal side of you and real stuff happening.
Yeah. So okay. So interestingly enough, I am a gay male, but
Hmm.
I'm Diaz first,
Hmm.
and for me, like, I think that's what has made my transition over the years so seamless,
Hmm.
because nothing about me changed.
Hmm.
I'm still the same person.
Hmm.
And I live my life as authentically as possible.
Mhm.
I've always been public in my life in general. Like what you see is kind of what you get. People that
Yeah.
know me, and they know that like I don't change. I'm very consistent with who I am. Um, I think today's climate, it can be difficult, but I don't know. Like living in living in, okay, so living in York doesn't have a gay culture at all, really.
Right.
So moving somewhere like Maryland that has
Mhm.
more of a gay culture, like it's not a big thing. Like
Yeah.
when I was in York, like in my past relationships, it was like the Diaz show. You know what I mean? Because like and you go out and you're like nobody else is gay but you. It's like you're in all the straight bars. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
like all my friends are straight, like all of them.
Yeah.
I didn't get
Mhm.
gay friends until I moved to Maryland. Like
Yeah.
so like I don't know. My life has just always kind of been the same when it
Mhm.
comes to that.
Mhm.
Um, when it comes to my current relationship, so you didn't really ask me this,
Go
but
ahead and tell me though.
it's so funny though, because like I always tell my friends like you could be missing a blessing.
Uh-huh.
Like you have people that you have your type.
Mhm.
What this is your type. This is the type of person you like. This is the type of person that you want to be with. And sometimes your type just don't be typing. You know what I mean?
The
Like
type don't be
your type
typing.
don't be typing. And I found myself in some situations where like I mean I don't regret any of my past relationships.
Mhm.
Because I learned something from all of them. They all served their purpose. From me being previously married to the mother of my kids to like my past relationship before this one, like they all served a purpose.
Yeah.
Um, but with my husband now, like he was that one that I ain't like him.
Mhm.
I ain't like him. He wasn't my type. He wasn't, and he was a great friend.
Yeah.
But I didn't like him. Like I didn't like him, and like
I
it
know
was
what you
just so
mean.
crazy, like how that happens. Like it, it, it just happened, and but when it happened, and it's so crazy because this was my first relationship that I kept private
Mm.
because I was always the one on social media with everything, the good, the
Mhm.
bad, the ugly. It was all
Yeah.
out there. And I've hurt a lot of people
Mm.
and I've been hurt by a lot of people.
Okay.
And I've learned that like when something's really sacred to you, you keep it close.
Mm.
And like you protect it,
Yeah.
and you guard it, and you're mindful of what you put out, and you're mindful of people having access to it. So like this was my first relationship that I just kind of like when I popped up married, everybody's like, you're married, and I'm like, girl, we're 2 years in, we like you late, you know what I mean?
You
Like
late. You
you
late.
late, but yeah, like it's amazing. It's the happiest I've been in my life. But before I got married, before I even got in this relationship with him, I worked on becoming the man that I would want.
Mhm.
So all those ways that I know, like I looked at, I did some self inventory. You know what I mean? Like, listen,
Mhm.
bro, you was messy, bro. You was messy, and I
Mhm.
did some self inventory, and I worked on myself first. So that way,
Mhm.
when I presented myself to him, I was the person that I wanted to be, and I
Yeah.
manifested the man that complements who I am now, and not who I was.
That's
And
good
yeah,
stuff.
you might see us here and there on social media, but like we don't. We live our lives and we live them authentically, we live them truthfully. And my kids are grown now and they come. My son will be here tomorrow for the weekend. They come hang out. Like my youngest son, like it works, you know what I mean? Like, and God don't bless no mess.
Listen. Say that again.
So I people say what they want to say, people have their own beliefs, but my thing is God don't bless no mess. And
So
right
let's
now
talk
my life
about
is
God, because
completely blessed.
you brought God into the conversation. So
Yeah,
let's just go ahead and talk about God, because God, I like God. Jesus is my homeboy.
you already know.
So for you all that are watching, Diaz did not know much about me before this show, just like I didn't know much about Diaz before this show. And one of the things that Diaz discovered is that I am the pastor of an ONA congregation, open and affirming congregation. And so everybody know I love gay people in all shapes, forms, and fashions. Everybody knows that. Um, and when I say all means all. So you've mentioned God several times throughout this conversation. The conversation about the LGBT community and God is one that rarely people want to talk about, right? Because it's always so muddy. Not for me. So tell me about you and God. Like, where are you with faith? You've mentioned God a lot. Like, some people have an aversion to organized religion because of experiences. So how has your experience been?
I mean, I grew up in church,
Mm-hmm.
so I've always gone to church. And I've always known God for myself
Mm-hmm.
from a young age. Um, and I'm a firm believer that, like, God knows who you are before you even here. Before he placed you on this earth, he knew who you are, he knew what you were going to do, he knew who you were going to be, he knew the sins you were going to commit, he knew everything. So I live confidently knowing that, like, nothing about me is a mistake.
That's right.
And I I know that if it would not have been for the grace of God, like, there's no way I would be where I am right now, and I would have endured some of the things that I've gone through and still come out the other side.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I'm talking about going back from, like, growing up in an environment where I had a crack addicted mom, like, and I had an absentee father, and I've been sexually abused, and I've been through domestic violent relationships, what I mean? I've been from pillar to post and lived in different schools, every year moving to different school district, different neighborhood, I lived with my aunts, I lived with my cousins, so I've been through all of those things.
Mm-hmm.
And it's almost like I feel like God took me through all of those things to bring me here to this point. And I'm still like, if I didn't tell you those things, you wouldn't know that.
Right.
And for me, that's grace, and that's covering,
Absolutely.
and I know that, like, um I can just remember, like, being younger and just knowing that, like, I know God's real.
Mm-hmm.
I know he's real. I've watched him. I've seen his works. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I've witnessed it myself, and I've experienced it myself. And it's like, there's nobody that can take that from me. I go to church here. I have a church, and I go to church on Sundays, and I tithe, and I offer, and I joined. Like, that's one of the first things I did when I moved here. Like, I wasn't even here a month, and I had a church. I'm like, I'm gonna find me a church,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And I have one, and I love it. And yes, your pain is your purpose. Like, and it's so crazy because, like, as much as I'll call myself an introvert yet extrovert, kind of like we had that little
Yeah,
conversation.
yeah. Introverted
Um,
extroverts here. Yeah.
yeah. And even though I don't know how many people are on this live, but I enjoy having opportunities to tell my truth, because I think that a
Yeah.
lot of times people look at me, and because I carry it so well,
Mm-hmm.
it makes it look like I didn't go through anything. Like,
Yeah.
I know people have this perception of what my life was like up to this point, or like even what my childhood was like. And it's like, you
Mm-hmm.
don't know, you've never asked, you made an assumption. Because again, like, we're always comfortable with the perception of the person that we create in our minds. We look at a person and we create our own narratives. It's no different than you look at a person on the street, and, like, 30 seconds of seeing them, you've got a whole narrative of what their life is like
Yep.
and what they've been through. Never
Yep.
talk to them, never ask them anything.
Yep.
And would treat them according to what your thoughts told you they were. Like,
Absolutely.
with me, any opportunity, like an opportunity like this, I always say, like, putting a face to it.
Yeah.
Like, from my career to, like, mental health to working with the kids to anything I do, I'm advocating, like, putting a face to it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you have to put a face to it, because that's what makes it relatable.
Yeah.
That's what gives you the ability to reach people.
Yep.
When you humanize yourself, so all of us with these fancy titles, humanize yourself, like,
Absolutely.
and that's how you become a change agent.
Mm-hmm.
Like, by being open and honest with your truth, like, you heal from it so that we can use it to help other people. Like, there's nothing that happened in my life that I'm ashamed to talk about,
Mm-hmm.
because that was my life, and I dealt with it, and I healed from it so that I could share it
That's right.
and help someone else.
Yes.
So even this job at Wells, but I know that, like, this is not the end. Like, there's so many other things. Like, I've been having this reoccurring dream for like years of like me and at this podium and there's all these people, but
Oh,
nobody has a
tell us
face.
about it.
Nobody has a face, and I don't really know what it is. Because I hate public speaking. But every job that I land in kind of pushes me closer and closer to like that public realm. So I'm like, okay,
I hate
God,
public speaking too, Diaz.
ah,
Ab-
I hate it.
I hate, like, I'm a preacher. I don't like public speaking. So what does that tell you?
How about it? And
Hmm.
my mind, let me tell you something. People have to tell me to slow down. Like, slow down.
Mm-hmm.
Slow down.
Mm-hmm.
Thank
Mm-hmm.
you, Miss Freeland. I love her.
I do too. Oh my gosh. Listen, if you're hiding it, you can't heal from it. Like, that's just how I feel. And that's, I told him, y'all, before he got on here, that he is exactly where he needs to be, because that's what this space is for. Like, it's called Face Off for a reason, because I believe that there's power in telling your truth, right?
Mhm.
And we do. Everybody has a presentation person. That's what I tell my clients.
Representative.
Everybody
Mhm.
has a presentation person, right? So you show people the person that you want them to see, and only people who genuinely get to know you get to know the real you. I'm the type of person like you. What you see is what you get. I don't have anything to hide because I've done my work to heal through my stuff. As messy
Mhm.
as it is, ask me, I'm gonna tell you.
And it's mine.
That's right.
It's mine.
You cannot hold over my head what I publicly share. So I'm gonna tell it all because it's not scandal. It's my story.
I know that's right. I like
Mhm.
that. Not scandal. It's my story.
Not scandal. It's my story. It is what it is. So I want to know. I want to
Yeah.
give you space. What don't we know that we need to know? What have you been waiting for somebody to ask you?
I don't know. I don't know what I'm waiting for somebody to ask me. Do you have something that you want to ask me that you didn't ask me yet? I
Oh,
mean, 'cause
listen,
I'm so much of an open book. It's like I don't even.
you. I asked you that question only because you said, people sometimes don't even care to ask, but you're willing to share. I I have questions. You've answered a lot of my questions. Because I really wanted to know, about your formation and how you got here. I'm less
Mhm.
concerned about the professional stuff because we see all of the professional stuff, and I wanted to get to know the man behind all of the titles, right?
Mhm.
Um, I love the fact that you've led us into your mental health journey because I think that's important. And I went down the God road for a reason because I feel like if you are a person who has lived through so much trauma, you've got to have inspiration somewhere. Like something has to be fueling you to keep going, right? So, the only major thing is in dealing with mental health, Black man, York City, mental health, like what are the challenges of doing this community work and this mental health work that you've been so committed to? Because, you're successful at what you do, but none of that ever comes without a cost.
Mm. I think for me, like I alluded to it earlier. I think one of the biggest challenges is um overextending yourself
Mm,
and being overinvested, especially when it's people that you care about.
mhm.
Like I'm not just working with people in the community. I'm working with people that I have personal relationships with.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the doors that I walk in are because of the relationships that I've built over the years. So like it comes with a cost, and the cost of just like I said, like being overinvested, being overextended, and crossing your own boundaries.
Mhm. Mhm.
Like I'm really working hard on like creating healthier boundaries when it comes to
Mhm.
work, when it comes to personal everything, just like creating
Mhm.
those boundaries and sticking to them.
Yeah.
Because if anybody who knows me, like I'm that guy. Like if I don't know it, I'm gonna figure it out. People ask me all kinds of questions, like
Mhm.
how do you do this or where do you go to this? Somebody, and if I don't know it, trust and believe. By the end of the day, I'm gonna have an email sent out like, hey, I know somebody who's looking for it. Who do I send them to? If I don't know, you're gonna find out. So I think like being okay with not having all the answers,
Yeah.
and I don't know how to say no either.
Mm.
I don't know how to say no, and I do things that I may not be comfortable with
Mm.
because I don't like saying no. I don't like disappointing people, and I think that I'm I'm a people pleaser,
Yeah.
very much so. I'm a people
Guilty.
pleaser. I've always been a people pleaser,
Yeah, I
and
get it.
it's so crazy because like a lot of my popularity, like me being like the social butterfly, um, that came from a place where I felt like I wasn't getting the love that I deserved,
Mhm.
that I needed. So
Mhm.
I can remember like at an early age, I remember like I can vividly remember saying to myself, like, I'm gonna make everybody love me.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And that was the goal. And I did it so much to a fault where it's like
Mhm.
when I got to that place where I was like, okay, everybody loves you, but you,
Mm.
like you don't love you.
Mm.
And I can be completely honest in saying like I've been on that journey up until this point.
Mhm. Mhm.
Like my separation from York moving,
Mhm.
yes, because my husband has a job in DC and I was living in York and this was a good amount, but it was divine timing for me because it was like that was the first chance I took on myself. Like I
Yeah.
love me enough that I can separate myself from some of this because not that I don't need it,
Yeah.
but I love me now. I thank you. I think one thing I love about York is I know my city loves me
Mhm. Mhm.
without a doubt. And some people be like, no, I know my city loves me. Like
Mhm.
I know my city loves me, and I love them, but I
Mhm.
love me too now.
That's good. That's good.
And it makes me emotional because York has held me up my whole
Yeah.
life.
Yeah.
Like they've held me up, they've kept me up, they
Mhm.
picked me up, they supported me no matter what I do, no matter where I work, whether it's York City School District, City Hall, whether it's Wellspan, whether it's Salvation Army, Children's Home in York. York has supported me.
Yeah.
They have supported me, they've been there for me. And my community, they didn't beat me down. Even when I came out, like they
Mhm.
embraced me. Nobody
Mhm.
treated me any different. Nobody
Mhm.
shunned me. I didn't deal with people talking about me in the background. If they did, I didn't hear about it, and it's
Yeah.
like my city has always loved me and supported me, and I love them for that. And that's why no matter where I go, I'll always rep YC like
Mhm.
to the end. And I'll my family's there. I will always visit, and I will always help, and I will always, as as long as I can, be a pillar in the city of York because York City raised me.
Yeah. That's deep. That's deep. And I know those that are watching feel the same way. That's deep. And
They
I
say it's
love
a village, right?
yes.
They always
You
say
would
it's a village.
yes.
The thing about York is a village. The
Yes.
city is a village. Like
Yes.
they we all raised each other. You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
like and people look out for you, they take care of you. Like it is. Like
Mhm.
the love is real. Like I don't care what nobody says, the love is real. Like we love each other in York.
Yeah. And that's important to say. That's important for people to hear. And I tell people every time I do a show, I make it clear I am not from York. And so, but yet I engage people who are from York regularly because what looks like a hard nut to crack, like you just said, you all have held each other up in this. You all have been in the trenches literally together, right? And I tell people, I never went to York High. I know some amazing people who have taught at York High, some of them who still do that are very much connected to York High. And so I advocate for a system that I've never been a part of because I get to see the products of that
Mhm.
system, right? And so I think, you are a part of that, like born and raised in York City. And so I think that's important for people to see, especially right now when we do get so many portraits of things that are not great and that are not positive. Like you are one of the many testimonies of the power of York, right? And that is what everybody has to not only get back to, but like hold on to. Because York already has the capacity to do what it needs to produce greatness.
Definitely,
You just become a reminder.
definitely.
You just become a reminder. So I am beyond ecstatic to have been able to engage with you in the space, for us to get to know each other a little bit deeper, because now, like, I don't think you know what you just did. I didn't know all of this stuff about you. I don't think you know what he did, y'all. So, and I'm telling all of y'all that's watching, like, literally, I've been sick as a dog for the last 2 days. I know y'all can't tell, but I've been sick as a dog. But I was determined to do this face off with Diaz, and I'm so happy that I did. So, Diaz, we have 5 minutes. And so for the last part of our time together, I always do two things. The first thing is there anything that you want to say to those who may be watching? Anything else that you want to share um, in our space together?
Um, take care of yourselves. Take care of yourselves. Take your mental health seriously. Be mindful of what you allow in your circle, in your room, in your life. There's a lot of negativity going on around us, and it's important that we protect what we love and what we want to keep close to us. So guard yourself, stay prayed up. And if you are watching and you're a male or a female, you haven't got your colorectal exam, please do so. You can go to wellspan.org and you can Google it. They will show you how to do it. They have fit kits available for those that are patients at Wellspan. And there's also other information about any type of health that you need. But beyond that, I just say thank you for having me. I appreciate it. You helped me open up so much because I was nervous and my anxiety earlier was trying to talk me out of it. Like maybe I'll tell her I'm sick, and then I get on here. You're like, I'm not feeling good. I'm like, so you definitely would have took that excuse. Like,
No, I'd have been like, no, man. If I'm dealing with all of this nausea over, you gonna show up. Ain't nobody getting out of this today. Um, Thank you. But you can't go nowhere yet. We still got stuff to do. So I have put you on the hot seat for almost an hour. And with every face off, I turn the tables. Is there anything that you would like to ask me? I love it when people don't know that question's coming.
oh, look, my daughter. I love you.
Oh, look. Oh, that's your daughter. Oh.
That just see.
See? Listen.
That just did it. I'm gonna call her when I'm done. Like she just did the thing. She did the thing. I made her do this whole interview, and she did it.
I told you. I told you people don't make it.
I don't know. I don't know. I can't think of anything. Thank you, Miss Breland. I don't know. I can't think of anything, but we might have to run this back, and maybe I'll put you in the hot seat.
You know, I'm gonna share something because you said something that was very interesting to me, and I have a friend. Y'all watching, so y'all gonna hear it. I have a friend who is dying to do a reverse face off with me because she knows there's so much that people don't know about me. Because, like I said, I'm not from York. I serve in York. I've been serving in York for years, but there's so much that people have no clue about. And so she's like, I want to do a reverse face off. And so I told her that she could. So at some point, there will be a reverse face off, and okay. I am going to let her do an hour face off with me. She will be the guest host, and I will be in the hot seat. But please don't fret. Most people who come on the show have no clue that I'm going to give them that space. And so most people have no question to ask me.
I know, and I definitely don't. But I do want to shout out my kids before I leave because
please do.
Not only am I a proud father, both of my kids have graduated college. My daughter graduated from Temple University. My son graduated from Albright College, Dean's List. My daughter right now is working on her master's for occupational therapy. And my youngest son is about to graduate from Central High School this year, and his team just went the whole way to state. So, whoop, whoop, Woodard kids.
I know that's right. Okay. All of the kids doing well. That's what we like to hear. Listen, mental health, I'm sure we will meet again. Our paths are going to cross in some way because we do so many things in the community together. I'm so excited. And I do want people that are watching, please pass that information along about this pre-screening and testing and all of this work that he's doing at Wellspan, because people are passing away from this. Like this is not a joke. It's a real thing that's impacting our community. So from all of us here at Face to Face, I want to thank you for taking time to share this space. For those who are watching, please know if you are brave enough, everything that you've experienced can be utilized to help you grow. It doesn't matter if you consider yourself to be seasoned, middle age, or just starting out, or even in your youth. It's never too late to take the mask off and to tell your truth. I'm so excited that you've joined us here at Face to Face. I am so excited that you were here for another Face Off. And for all of you watching, please know next month we will be back here on the 4th Thursday. And I already know who our guest will be, y'all. You know, it's rare that I know in advance. But next month, we will be joined by Mr. Sharif Hamad. Now, Sharif's been on before, so you all may remember that name. Sharif has been on before, but I promise you, you want to be here because we're going in a whole different direction, talking about something that everybody needs to talk about. So please join us here in April, 4th Thursday, 8 p.m. Have a blessed evening and thank you for joining us. Good night.